I'm an artist, and I focus on painting change. I was a teenager when the Getty opened in Los Angeles, and my uncle and father took me there. I still remember walking down the galleries with mild interest until I came upon the Impressionist pieces. I walked right up to one of them. This is Claude Monet's A Detail of his wheat stacks. Snow Effect, Morning, 1891. I could see the texture. All I could see was the painting. Right? The details, the brushstrokes, the juxtaposed color. It was a vivid experience. And when I took a couple steps back, the painting changed. A couple more steps back, painting changed again. It was the same painting, but somehow different. Somehow I was interacting with the piece, which at the time seemed impossible. Kept taking steps back until I was in the back of the gallery and walking forward. I realized later on that this was a very profound experience for me and led to me deciding to buy a starter kit of oils and start painting. One night turned into 2 per week to 3 until I was painting almost every night. I was really into painting. Studying at UC San Diego, I was taking courses in psychology and chemistry, no art classes at all. But I would go into the art studio late at night where I could be alone and focus on the process of painting. The results weren't that great, but I enjoyed the process, and there was nobody there to tell me that it was wrong. At some point, I had an epiphany. I realized that I would rather pursue my inspiration than wake up one day regretting that I'd never taken that risk. So I bit the bullet. I quit my job in science research and enrolled in art school, moved up to San Francisco. And I can't say it was an easy period, 15 years later, but here I am, still doing what I love every day. My recent paintings focus on moments of change, and these moments of change reflect a larger scope of time and hopefully meaning. I start off by exploring psychological concepts in 2 dimensions using drawings, and I combine drawings with photographs to create something new. And inevitably, there's going to be a conflict, and the painting becomes about resolving that conflict in hopefully an interesting and meaningful way. I use abstraction along with realistic techniques to kind of make the painting more vivid and provide a sense of mystery and maybe leave a little bit less explained. Abstraction, as well as expressive brushstrokes, part of my work. And I find when combining imagery together and you take a figure out of its element and put it into something new, the meaning changes. And sometimes the meaning is ambiguous, and I think that's a good thing. The drawings make their way to layers upon layers of thick paint applied on top of stencils, which I make. And every layer responds to the previous layer. So the painting is really about that process of discovering and forming something new. And because of that, every painting is different. This one has some pixelation, which references digital photography in our social media age, and counterintuitively actually makes the painting more painterly. Also surprisingly, geometry and hard-edged shapes can facilitate movement. Duchamp's Nude Descending Staircase, #2, is a big inspiration here. Also referencing film in these paintings, as movement is signaling maybe a bigger symbolism, movement in one's life, aspects of memory, foresight into the future, personal identity. And I always think about the audience every step of the way. How the viewer can enter in the painting and interact. So I leave some parts unfinished and mysterious so that the viewer can draw their own conclusions. And I'd encourage you all here today to think about what you can bring to the table. Think about how you can be active viewers, right? By engaging in the process and thinking about art as something that you can interact with, you could have a more profound experience. And you don't have to be an artist to engage in artwork. Take a few steps back, take a few steps forward, interact with the art. Think about what the piece means to you. So that leads us to this painting over here, which won't be finished here today. I'm going to remove the tape, but it'll be pretty close. What I've done is covered the figure and some of the surrounding areas with tape and applied paint. And the reason I use these hard-edged shapes from masking tape or stencils is to create a disparity between depth. So things will move forward and move back in a dynamic way, sometimes with conflicts. And I feel like the conflicts really help the process of painting and make the piece more energetic and also maybe useful for the viewer to access. So the viewers can actually see the different layers, right? You can actually interact with the piece. And the hope is that when people look at my finished work, they'll have that sense of engagement, and then the piece will be finished. So I'm going to close here today with removing the tape. And this is going to be a surprise for you as well as me. Not exactly sure what's going to be underneath, although I have a pretty good idea. But you know, painting is all about the process, so we'll see how it turns out. Okay, thank you.